Hello and assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another episode of Third Culture Heart with Amal. So today's episode is going to be a little bit different. I am just going to be rambling and talking. I mean, you're probably thinking that's literally what I do in other episodes, but today I do not have anything in particular that I want to talk about. Usually I come up with an idea or with a concept and I know exactly what I'm going to be talking about in that episode. But today I just wanted to see what happens if I don't come up with that. And so first of all, I just want to begin this episode by saying Eid Mubarak to everyone who celebrated Eid this week. I hope you guys had a wonderful Eid. It was full of laughter, joy, happiness, and just happy moments with your loved ones. I had a wonderful time on Eid, alhamdulillah, and I don't take that for granted because I've spent a couple of lonely Eids, so I know what that feels like and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. So I had an amazing Eid. I was able to host a pre-Eid potluck with all my friends, and one thing I love is when my friends from different groups meet each other and mingle together. I don't know, because in my mind I'm thinking, this is a cool person, this is another cool person, I would love for them to meet because I see a potential friendship growing there. So I guess you could say I love playing Cupid for my friends, or I'd like to think that I do. So each year on Eid, I try to make sure that I invite everyone so that everyone gets an opportunity to mingle and make new friends and create new memories together. On actual day of Eid, I went for Eid prayer, which was on Wednesday, the middle of the week. I decided to take 2 hours off from work and I went to the masjid with a couple of my friends and was able to hear the beautiful khutbah and see everyone in their pretty Eid outfits from different cultures all over the world. So it was an amazing experience, alhamdulillah. And then I went to work, and after work, I was able to go out for a dinner with a few of my really good friends. So alhamdulillah, Eid was amazing. I really enjoyed it. What did you guys do on Eid this year? What was something that made it special? It was a great week. It was a busy week because of Eid. Also because of that, I wasn't able to keep up with my routine and go to the gym. So usually I go to the gym 4 times a week, and it's very, very important for me because I do strength training for different muscles each day. So I cannot really skip a day because then the week after I have to lower the weight for strength training in order to avoid any injury. Anyway, long story short, I wasn't able to go 4 times this week. However, I was able to go 3 days, and in those 3 days, I crammed the workout for 4 days in that window. So the 3 days were intense. Yesterday was the last intense day of the gym for this week for me. So I am done with that. Other interesting thing that happened this week was that I got my blood work done. So for those who don't know, I was diagnosed with Graves' disease and hyperthyroidism back in 2021. So basically my thyroid works harder than it's supposed to, which would lead to elevated heart rate and a lot of other things back in 2021. But then I was on medicine, and what autoimmune disease comes with is that you have to constantly monitor it. I don't know if it's just for thyroid and for other autoimmune diseases too. But for my disease, you have to continuously monitor it. So every few months, I would have a checkup with my endocrinologist. So for the last 2 years, I was in remission. I've been in remission for the past 2 years, and I've been going for bi-yearly checkups. So every 6 months, I would go for a checkup with my endocrinologist. And this time when I got my blood work back, it seems like autoimmune disease is flaring up again. My thyroid results came back normal, but there's this test or antibodies, I think. Thyroid peroxidase antibodies, something like that. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, but that came up really elevated. I was a little bummed about that, I'm not going to lie, because I thought, I'm in remission, everything is perfectly fine, and I'm going to be fine. And I have been trying to maintain a healthy lifestyle where I have been very particular about my sleep schedule, my routine, my diet, my gym. So I thought I'm doing all the right things. There's no way my autoimmune disease could flare up, but well, it seems like it is. And while I was a little bummed about that, I was scrolling through YouTube because that's my form of social media that I use. And I came across this short video, which is kind of like a reel. And the guy, it was like a funny video where the guy was saying that, excuse me if I'm being mean, but my autoimmune is flaring up, which kind of made me laugh. And so there is no particular reason for why people develop autoimmune diseases from what I've been told by different physicians and doctors here in US. It seems like it can be genetic, but then at the same time, 2 people in the same family, there's twins, one of them could have autoimmune, the other could possibly not have it. So doctors are not even sure about the genetic aspect of it. And then I have watched a lot of videos of Dr. Gabor Mate. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He specializes in addiction and childhood trauma, and he talks about the concept of two inherent needs that every human being is born with. One of them is need for attachment, and that is, the need for love, the need for feeling that you are accepted and you belong. And then the second need is the need for authenticity, which is how you can be fully true to yourself. And so human beings are always trying to make sure that both their needs are fulfilled. However, what usually ends up happening is that while you're trying to fulfill your need for attachment, which is getting validation, approval, feeling like you belong, you kind of suppress your need for authenticity. So the right people should be able to accept you for who you are. I'm not saying that they should enable any wrong behavior or habit that you have. They should be comfortable enough to, call it out. But what I'm trying to say is that they should accept you for the person that you are rather than trying to put you in a mold and make you into someone you're not. And we're not always surrounded by the right people. And so our need for attachment sometimes overpowers our need for authenticity, and we start suppressing our true self, our needs, our wants, and our emotions. And so according to Dr. Mate, if you keep suppressing your true self and your authenticity, your immune system starts fighting back and starts attacking your own body, which is one of the reasons why autoimmune diseases may develop. Now, there's not a lot of research that backs this. I think it's still a fairly new concept. But when it comes to autoimmune diseases, they do say that factors like stress have an impact. So I'm not sure what the exact reason is. But anyway, going back to the YouTube short that I was watching, it said, if I'm being mean, it's because my autoimmune is flaring up. And so, you know what? I am going to apply the same philosophy in my life. So if I'm being unfiltered and if I'm just fully being myself, and that doesn't mean that I'm actually being mean, but if I'm just sharing my unfiltered thoughts, or if something hurts me and I call it out that, hey, that is not something that I like. So I'm going to do that more often now, just a heads up, because my autoimmune is flaring up and I don't want it to. That's my excuse. But no, for real, I think I have been someone who has suppressed herself for a long, long time. I think I've suppressed my emotions for so long that now I have a hard time naming them. I have a hard time recognizing what is it that I'm truly feeling. I think another thing that I do quite often is detach myself completely. Like if I'm going through an extremely stressful situation, I am very good at compartmentalization and detachment. So I would be able to put that on the side and just go about my life and keep doing things that I'm required to do, acting like nothing happened. But I think I need to stop doing that, and I need to fully grasp what is it that is bothering me, why is it bothering me, sit with those uncomfortable feelings and try to figure it out myself. So another thing I used to do is call a friend. Anytime I'm feeling uncomfortable, stressed out, I would just quickly call a friend, which is totally fine. It's good to have a support system. I'm not saying isolate yourself. But before you call a friend, I would also say maybe try to sit with the uncomfortable feelings for a little bit. Of course, you can call a friend, but here's what would happen when I would do that. So let's say had a really terrible day at work, instantly call a friend, she doesn't pick up, feel disappointed, and end up feeling worse than I was before. And it would also end up making me feel more lonely. And while on the other hand, my friend is just going about her day. She's probably busy at work. She's probably doing her own thing. Everyone has their own life going on. I think we should not rely on people to regulate our emotions. I think it's good to have a support system. If you're going through a tough time, it's good to rely on people. But before you get to that point where you're fully relying on someone, try to regulate yourself and try to sit with the uncomfortable feelings, try to understand your feelings. And then, of course, you can reach out and you can always have that, if you don't want to be by yourself, that's totally fine. You can, after you've sit down with the discomfort, you can always reach out to friends and you can always distract yourself or talk about the thing that is making you uncomfortable. But I think what I'm trying to say is stop relying on others to regulate your emotions. Your emotions are what you are feeling. No one else should have the power to soothe them, and then no one else should be made to feel like they are responsible to soothe your emotions or to regulate your emotions. I in no way am condoning that. Be more lonely and get away from community and isolate yourselves. Not at all. All I'm saying is try to regulate your emotions first, and then you can always reach out, and then you can always have community, still have that support system. There's a reason why we call it the support system and not the main system, because you are the main system. Also start recognizing when you're in an uncomfortable situation and you're trying to call a friend. Just take a quick pause and ask yourself, okay, why am I calling this friend? Is it because I need validation over something terrible that happened to me and I want someone else to confirm it for me? Is it because I don't want to be lonely right now? Is it because this feeling is so overbearing that I think if I won't be able to handle it by myself, Is it because I'm just uncomfortable? I don't want to feel this way any longer, so I'm just going to use this friend as a distraction. So I think this is something worth thinking about. I'm not saying stop calling people. I'm not saying stop relying on your friends. Please do not misunderstand this. I'm just saying while you're relying on your support system, also learn how to regulate your own emotions. So what do I mean by emotional regulation? So I know we've been hearing this term quite a lot in recent times. I just want to clarify that emotional regulation is not making yourself instantly feel happy or suppressing uncomfortable emotions or forcing yourself to think positively or pretending that you're okay or saying that, oh, but I'm so grateful to God because XYZ. I mean, you can be sad and you can also be grateful at the same time. So emotional regulation is not the ability of painting a perfect picture, thinking that everything is okay when it's not. It just means to experience an emotion without immediately needing to escape it. So for example, if anxiety or fear shows up, can you just sit with it? If sadness shows up, can you just stay with it? If there's uncertainty in your mind, can you tolerate not knowing something? So the goal is not to eliminate emotions. The goal is for you to increase your capacity or for you to create a space to hold them. And so what I mean by emotional regulation then is to stop asking yourself, oh, how do I get rid of this uncomfortable feeling? Instead, ask, what is this feeling trying to tell me? So try to be more curious, try to be more compassionately curious is what I'm trying to say, and try to understand, why are you feeling what you're feeling? What is this feeling trying to tell me? Think of emotions as information. So anxiety may be telling you that, okay, something feels uncertain. And then sadness may be saying that something really matters to me. Anger may be another way of saying maybe you set up a boundary which was crossed. And so all these emotions are not the problem. Our panic and stress about having uncomfortable emotions becomes the bigger problem. So next time you're feeling an uncomfortable emotion, I want you to practice a 10-minute rule. Before reaching for your phone instantly and calling your best friend to fill her in on whatever is going on, give yourself 10 minutes. I'm not saying never call her, just 10 minutes. And during those 10 minutes, I want you to be very mindful and try to name the emotion that you're feeling. Try to notice where it lives in your body. Like I've noticed that whenever I feel stressed out, I feel an instant knot in my stomach. So try to notice where that emotion is living in your body. Maybe take out a second and write down what happened. What is it making you feel? And why do you think it's making you feel that way? And if you're someone who doesn't like writing down, or I've known some of my friends say that their thoughts are faster than how fast they can write, then you can also record yourself. You can just go to your voice recordings, hit record, and just name the emotion, notice where it is in your body, talk about what happened, what you're feeling and why you're feeling it, and what do you need in the moment to feel better. So once you've done that exercise, it will give you a lot of clarity and a lot of understanding towards what you're feeling and why you're feeling it. And it will also make you feel empowered, where you would know that you are someone who's self-sufficient, who can take care of themselves. Again, I'm not trying to say that community is not important. It's one of the most important things. But again, they are your support system. They're not your main system. So you have to invest in your main system, which is you. So then you can rely as backup on your support system. And there's also a difference between healthy support and rescue. So healthy support might sound something like, I had a difficult day and I wanted to share something with you. Rescue sounds like, oh, please make this feeling go away. Support creates connection, whereas rescue creates an unhealthy form of dependency. So in order to understand whether you are seeking healthy support or rescue, a good question that you can ask yourself is, okay, if I called my best friend and she doesn't answer the phone, or if I call my husband, or if I call my sister or my brother, whoever your support system may be, well, if I call them and they don't answer the phone, what would I do? Would that really break me down? Or what are some coping mechanisms I have in place to be able to deal with difficult situations like this? Of course, it's good to have an external support system, but it's also necessary to have a strong internal support system. So whenever you're going through something difficult, you can also talk to yourself about it the way you would talk to someone you love, instead of having thoughts with judgment and shame, because I hear that a lot. Like, I have some really close friends, and every now and then they would call me and they would start off with that, why am I like this? Why do I always have to do XYZ? And all these questions and judgment. And I hear a lot of shame when all they're doing is expressing a harmless emotion or thought that they had. And they don't even allow themselves space to think that or feel that. And I I'm that friend too sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. I also have a lot of judgment and shame towards my thoughts and feelings. But next time you're going through that difficult emotion, instead of having questions like, oh, why am I like this? Think of how you would talk to your friend. You would probably validate what they're feeling at first without any judgment or shame or making them feel terrible about feeling that way. So maybe acknowledging that it's okay to feel this uncomfortable feeling, and just talk to yourself how you would talk to them and try to soothe yourself in that moment. And going back to what I was saying about having some healthy coping mechanisms or having some coping tools, I think is very, very important. Maybe this is an exercise you can do when you're in a relatively good mood. I want you to list down all the things that make you feel better. It could be something like offering a prayer, walking outside, watching the sky, journaling, meditation, cleaning. I know cleaning is a big one for some people, including me. Anytime I feel like my life is out of control, everything is going south, it's not going as I planned, I start cleaning. And my space reflects my state of mind. So if you see a very cluttered room, it's probably because there's a lot going in my mind. As soon as I start cleaning my room, I start getting more clarity in my mind too. I don't know what it is, but I think it has something to do with the sense of control. So anytime you feel like you don't have control over your life, you can at least clean your space and feel like you're in control of the space that you're in right now. So I know cleaning helps a lot of people. For some people, it's maybe having a cup of chai. I'm not a chai drinker, so I cannot relate to that, but I know that a lot of people love chai, and maybe it's that. Maybe it's just sitting in nature. Maybe it's having a chat with Allah. Like every now and then, if I feel really, really upset, and I just start talking to Allah, not like a prayer, but just like as if I'm talking to a friend, and I will just start listing down things which are making me upset. Because I think the more I run away from acknowledging whatever is making me upset, the more it keeps building up inside in the form of anxiety. So acknowledgement is very, very important. I'm a project manager. I love lists. So I just start making lists of things which are really bugging me or really making me feel uneasy. And honestly, by the end of it, by the time I've finished the list, I already start feeling better. So I think here is what happens in my mind when I'm listing down everything that I'm feeling or everything that is making me uncomfortable. I think my mind wants that acknowledgement. The more I run away from it, the more it keeps pressing me that, hey, I am not feeling okay about this. Hey, can you hear me? Can you listen to me? I'm not feeling okay about this. And it's almost screaming at me. And the more I ignore it and I'm like, no, you're fine, the more it keeps like jumping up and down like an over enthusiastic kid, screaming in my face that, hey, I'm still feeling this. Hey, do you hear me? And so as soon as I calmly sit down and I listen to it and I'm like, okay, yes, I hear you. And I understand why that must feel heavy. I acknowledge what you're feeling. It starts feeling calmer all of a sudden. So I think it's simple things like that which really help. In the end, I just want to say that I hope that we all are equipped with healthy tools to deal with difficult emotions and situations. And if you don't have a tool in mind or something, a plan of action in mind that helps you feel less stressed out or helps you feel less sad, then maybe this is something you need to start thinking about. Okay, what is it that I enjoy doing? Is it maybe doing coloring or painting or sitting outside or cleaning? Whatever it may be, I think it is definitely worth it to sit down and just list down your plan of action or your toolkit, different tools that make you feel better in difficult situations, so that next time whenever you're faced with something difficult, you have a bunch of tools in your toolkit and you can rely on them to help you regulate your emotions. And one of the greatest signs of emotional growth, I think, is that you still seek support from others, but you no longer feel the need for others to carry every emotion for you, because you're making enough space to carry your own emotions and to acknowledge your emotions. I hope and wish that you and we can become people who can say things like, okay, I am anxious, but I can handle anxiety. Or I am hurt, but I can handle hurt. Or I am uncertain, but I have the bandwidth to tolerate uncertainty. So I really hope that we become that, and we start having a relationship with ourselves where we start having that trust and confidence in our abilities to handle difficult situations and emotions, because we've all done that in the past. And I think we should use that as data points to remind ourselves that, okay, I got through that difficult time, I can get through this again. And we should start building that confidence in our own abilities to soothe and regulate ourselves. So the next time you're tempted to hand your emotions to someone else, see if you can sit with them first. Self-regulation is not about isolation. It's about building a strong relationship with yourself. The goal is not to need people less. It is to trust yourself more. I hope, wish, and pray that all of us are able to develop a healthy toolkit for ourselves, and all of us are able to have a strong relationship with ourselves to the point where we are able to comfort and soothe ourselves while having a strong external support system along our sides. And with that, this episode comes to an end. I hope you guys had a wonderful Eid, and I wish that this upcoming week is full of excitement and everything else that you wish for. Talk to you guys in the next episode. Take care and bye.